The topic that I'm going to touch today is about how great work cultures can make great customer experiences. And the reason why I wanted to have this topic, it is because a couple of years ago, probably 5 or 6 years ago, I had in my hands a book called Delivering Happiness, A Path to Profits, Passion, and Purpose. So this book was written by the founder of a company called Zappos. And the funny thing about Zappos is that they popularized the fact that if you have customers, no, in order to have customers that are happy, you need to have your people, your employees that are happy. And this guy has developed his own culture. So Zappos is an e-commerce website that sells shoes. In fact, today they have been purchased like a couple of years back by Amazon. And the thing is that at the early stages of their startup, it was a little bit messy because they needed to have a lot of customer service people and there was a high rotation, people were leaving. So he decided to concentrate and put the focus on the company culture as a number one priority. And he created like kind of a crazy, weird culture inside of Zappos where, for instance, people, the brand new employees are paid $2,000 to quit. So if they feel that they don't fit in the culture, they can leave. So they have made also customer service the responsibility of the entire company, not just the department. They apply research from the science of happiness to running a business. They help employees grow both personally and professionally, and even they seek to change the world. Well, that sounds quite a lot, in fact. And it may sound like some BS invented by some hippie, but I decided to invite Claire Boscq today. And the reason is why, because she is the one who made me think again about that book. So we have been talking already for a while about customer experience. I had the opportunity to meet her way before she landed here in Dubai since 1 or 2 months. Prior to that, she was in the island of Jersey. And we have been discussing quite a lot about corporate culture and the impact that it has into the customer centricity. Let me tell you a little bit more about Claire. She is the right person to talk about customer experience, as she has been awarded winning customer experience expert. She is a keynote speaker and a consultant awarded in the top global customer services gurus. Wow. And she has been writing quite a lot. And we will discuss a little bit more about her books. She has 4 books in the on the pocket, and she has even one #1 Amazon bestseller from 2020. And she's also the creator of a quite inspirational process called the BizShui. And we will discuss also about this approach of creating a better flow in business by integrating and kind of mixing together the traditional Feng Shui principles with the modern business. Claire, I'm super happy to have you with me. And what I wanted to ask you first, so I was reading a little bit one of your books. One of the books that comes from 6 years ago is called Thrive with the Hive, 10 Simple Steps to Follow to Deliver Exceptional Customer Service. And it made me think quite a lot about this idea of creating happiness inside of an organization. And you define what it is to have a service culture. Can you tell me a little bit more about your own definition of service culture?
So there's a word missing in what you just said. There's a caring service culture. It's a caring service culture. That's the word that was missing in what you just said. I think that, we are... I loved writing that book. My first book was all about, I was about the beehive, and my business was called the Busy Queen Bee at the time. So everything was surrounding around the bees and around the community, around the spirit of helping each other and caring for each other. And I just loved how, those natural little miniature little bees could actually create something so big and beautiful and actually make our world go round. I mean, how simple those little tiny little bees would make our world go round. And so if we look at our organizations as if they were beehives, and we are all worker bees. We all have our tasks to do, but we're all looking out for each other. We're all caring. We're all making sure that we take the time off. We've got great leadership, great communications. We've got great training. We're really inspiring people. This is what creates the buzz in the hive, right? And this is how we should be running our businesses as well. So if we have worker bees and employees which are really happy, and doing their work and their well-being and treated and they feel cared for, they will go and get some honey for everybody, and then all the customers and all the people that are coming in contact with a beehive will thrive, which is what the book was all about.
I love your analogy with the beehive. So what it seems to me is like the bees itself is like it is a self-organized working environment where it's not about the bee doing a specific task. It is about the aim of the hive, which is to survive and to thrive, in fact. That makes it possible. And no need of a lot of communication. They feel each other about what the others are doing in order to move forward towards a single goal. Love it.
Yes, and also you've got, so this is like the beehive only main reason for living is to make honey and to actually work together towards that. And with the leadership of the queen is just does that inspiration that everybody just follow her everywhere. You'll see that, if you look into beehives and people are trying to relocate a beehive, for example, you will take the queen and you put the queen somewhere else, and then suddenly within a couple of days the whole beehive is gone to where the queen is. It's just incredible, that inspiration from the queen, which will take care of everybody else. And that's what we want a really strong leadership. But we need a leadership who leads with a yin, but manage with a yang. And I love that analogy.
Tell me more. So explain more about this yin and yang, just so that in my language of business person, I can really get it.
Okay, so we have two sides of our brain, and we've got the left side of our brain, which is the conscious brain. The neocortex brain is the brain of the doing, the acting, and that's the yang energy. When you got yang energy into a place, it's all about do, let's go, and let's take action. And then we've got our right brain, which is the limbic brain, and the limbic brain, it's all about our emotions and our feelings and the things that the dreaming, and that's our feminine energy, and that's the yin energy. And so really, when you want to create a business, really a harmonious business, you need to have some care and emotional connections with people and human, because we're all human, but you still need to get on and do a business, right? Because you've got a business. And so this is where, lead with the yin and manage with the yang. That means that as a leader, you're bringing that care, attentions, emotions into what you do. But at the same time, you're getting things done, and you're getting things done because your people are good. They're well, they're thriving, they're loyal, they're really kind of engaged with you. They trust you. And all of those things bring that real kind of thrive into an organization for your employees, to be able to really take it to the next level and make the organization, make themselves more productive, more creative, and make the organization thrive and prosperous.
Again, getting back to something that you said, it is the fact that when you are a leader, you need to be caring. And maybe as the queen bee, she's not telling to people, do this, do that. It is just by the fact that she's caring that they know that this enhances the purpose of the full hive. And I'm loving your analogy with the hive. You should get this analogy forever. Okay, I have a question for you. So, it is not always the most evident fact to think that when employees are happy or they have a healthy culture, you can deliver better or greater customer experience. That's not always evident, because people believe that, there is still a big chunk of leaders who believe that you are paid, you have incentives, bonuses if you win more businesses. And that should be enough in order to acquire customers. Now, my question is, and I'm tempting the devil, is it like, can toxic work culture still have great customer experiences? Can you make a business out of bonuses, incentives, and pushing?
No. Well, that's my own. That's a very simple and abrupt answer, and that's my own views. Maybe other people will, say something different. For me, really, for an organization to thrive and be prosperous, you need engaged, motivated, loyal employees. You need to show them that you trust them, they trust you. You need some care. You need to make them feel valued. You need to really kind of make sure that all the same. But you need customers. You need, to have a thriving business, you need to have customers. You need to have customers who comes in your shop, who comes in your organization, and they're going to start loving you as well. So it's becoming more than loyalty, it's becoming advocacy, right? If you've got customers which are advocate for you, they will go and recommend you to their friends and family. They'll buy from you, they'll return to you. So having both your customers, advocacy, your employees, loyalty, and putting them together, that's when you have a thriving and prosperous. If there's something missing, so for example, you may have really loyal employees, but then your customers are not really bothered. They don't really like you. They are pathetics, right? They'll come to you maybe, or they'll go to somewhere else. Well, you start having a team member who feel demotivated, right? Disengaged. If that customer is here, but it's really not bothered, why should I spend time, telling him about it? And then he's going to just walk away, right? And vice versa. If you've got a really customers who's really advocates and they love you and they come back to you, but then suddenly he's facing an employee who's totally disengaged. Well, that becomes a very fragile and risky relationship that we're having here, right? Because your customers isn't going to stay long with you if your employees is totally disengaged and is not, is not part of it. So you really have to have those two key metrics to be able to get and have a thriving business. And for me, it's all in the middle of it. So you need to have that leadership who are going to be driving. You need to have that mission who is inspiring. You need to have those values that people align with. And those are the core of a business. Once you've got that culture, right, that caring service culture, which I call, then everything else will start falling into place. If you got a culture where people are distrust, they're not feeling cared for, they're not going to work. They're not going to want being here. They will look for somewhere else, and your customers won't be happy. They won't get any service. So you've got damage and loss there. It'll be that downward spirals on everything else that you're doing.
I want to be a little bit more punk attitude. Let's call it like that. So what you are saying is that financial perks, bonuses, is not enough to make great customer experience. So can we push it, destroy the system and say, forget about bonuses. What people want is a healthy, good, thriving, happiness environment. And they can stay with you if you give them that. And they will care a little bit less about the financial perks.
Trust, engagement, development. People are twice more likely to stay with you if they get developed and they get, going through training and doing development than what they would in recognition programs. That's been, there was figures, I can't remember who them was, it McKinsey or something like that, shown that, the programs, a very excellent development program will be more an engagement for somebody to stay with you than a recognition program. So money isn't, and I think especially with the pandemic, right, it really has shown us how much people really want to show that, you care for them. I always use that figure, but 88% of US Americans, pre-pandemic that was, work for an organization that they don't think care for them. I mean, that's almost 9 out of 10 people get up every morning and go to work for somebody that they don't think care for them. I mean, no wonder why we've had an explosion of people, employees leaving. No wonder why now, you know, people can just, you know, don't like something, they'll go because, you know what, they can. And if actually no one feel that, you know, they care for them, why should they stay? And I think, you know, we talk about generations and, you know, Gen Z and millenniums and all that kind of things. And I'm a Gen Z. And I really care about, if somebody care for me, I would really more prefer, you know, working for somebody that care for me than somebody who doesn't care for me, right? And I think that's any generation. If you, you know, even, you know, the millenniums wants to be part of something that, you know, leave a legacy. They want to feel that they're doing something for the world. And, you know, so that's all part of our vision and missions. And so having all those things very clearly and very, you know, that people really understand and they can really connect with you, that's a big part of your advocacy. That's what it's all about. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to be unfair about the. I mean, it's not like we should completely ditch financials. So financials are important in maybe in two ways. One is that like we get pissed off when, for instance, we are unfairly paid. Like imagine this, my peer is being paid more than me. When we start comparing, that becomes a problem. But the problem is not the money. It is that the fact that we feel like we are treated unfairly. And that correlates to your point, which is caring. And maybe the other point is when our financials do not allow us to survive, like having the basics, like food, a roof, and so that's when it contributes to our balance, to our happiness. Yes, but beyond that, in fact, who cares? We care about the environment, to feel like a family, feeling in an environment of trust. And you mentioned it several times. Trust is something that is so important in corporations to develop personal bonding because it's human need to feel connected, to feel a tribe.
Right. And so I'll take you back to Maslow pyramid, Ivan, and I'm sure you know your listeners and you've listened to you know what the Maslow pyramid is. And the Maslow pyramid shows us that we all have a certain level of satisfaction. And when we have those, we all have needs. And that when we met those needs, we can move to the next level of satisfaction. So, as you very rightly say, to survive in our life, we need food, we need water, we need rest, we need to be able to get money to pay for food and for drink, right? And having a roof on our heads, right? That's our physiological need. If we do not have that, we cannot go to the next level. But once this is secured and you have got a job and you've got money coming in and you know that, you know, you're going to be able to put some bread on top of your table in the evening, then you look at the next level, which is safety. And safety is about security. It's about trust. It's about stability. It's about a shelter where you can lock the door and know that you're not going to get killed in the middle of the night. And really kind of have a sound rest because of that, knowing that your children are safe and your family is safe. Those are kind of the next need that you need to meet. Once this is met, then you can move it to the love and belonging, feeling part of something, you know, whether it's your family, whether it's your business, in the organization. You spend more time at work than what you spend at home. So, you know, create a feeling of belongings for your employees. So they can start making relationships, they can start making friends, they can start feeling that they've got surrounded by a tribe around them. Once this is met, then you go up to the next level, and that's self-esteem. You know, it's feeling of accomplishment. It's that pat in the back, you know, when you're thinking, wow, you know, I've done really well. You start being grateful about things every day. You start looking at things, and the more accomplishment you are, the more flourishing you are. You know, you really kind of start blossoming in that part because everything else is kind of fitting into that. And of course, the last part of it, it's self-actualization. So that comes when it's a workplace, your development, your training. Where do you see yourself? Do you want to be a manager? Do you want to be a CEO? Do you want to be, you just happy where you are? But, you're feeling that, you've achieved something, and you're feeling that really, what else can I go? So you're always evolving in your life. And those kind of that, when you're looking at a pyramid and you put that into a business context, it's really interesting, and it really makes you realize what's important, and you can't move to the next level until you get those basics right.
Exactly. Now, according to you, what are the major misconceptions that organizations are having regarding customer experience? So is there like some old stuff that comes from 50 years ago that is still using and reusing, or what are they doing wrong? Because it's still, you know that everybody puts in the website, we are customer centric, you are the most important, we understand your needs and all the stuff, and then you go in front, and these marketeers who are getting to know the customer in front of PowerPoint, salesman that only sends WhatsApp. So what are we doing wrong with customer experience in organization?
I think the very simple fact that there's a customer experience department makes people think that there's only a department that's their job to do customer service or customer experience. And that's probably the biggest thing that you've got, because it really, everybody is customer experience. Everybody create an experience, or should be creating an experience for your customers, whether it's internal customers or whether it's external customers. So whether, even if you're not working with a face-to-face person, a face-to-face customers, your internal customers, your colleagues, your employees in organization could be customers of yours. And then, so again, let's not forget that we are all customers of each other in an organization, right? And so having, thinking that the customer service, it's just for customer service department, is a really big thing. So putting back into the middle of everything that we do, whether it's the values or whether it's part of the mission, that, customer experience is all about, our employees and our customers, and every single one of us is part of this, that journey. We are all part of that. This is the only way that you can really, you can move forward. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. What you just said made me think about something that happened not so long time ago with one customer that where we were trying to understand the correlation between the customer centricity and the behaviors that you may have in different type of departments. Because what is sad is that companies claim we are customer centric, or they say, as you mentioned, we all customer centric, but employees do not do the correlation between my job, the task that I'm doing, and this customer centricity. So if you are an accountant, you don't know how can you contribute. If you are, I don't know, from the purchasing department, you don't know how to contribute. Our brain is not made so that to visualize what type of behaviors or actions can contribute to this big purpose of making customers super happy.
Well, I think that's a culture problem. Then that's, if the purchasing department doesn't know that it contributes to the running of the business, that certainly is a training and a culture, and arriving and not being shown and trained properly. That is wrong in so many ways.
Indeed, but that happens very often, Claire. Don't think that this is something that I saw it in different.
I know.
So, and that this is where people needs a little bit more of support by the managers, by the organization, in order to make them understand that how they are contributing, and the practice itself of these behaviors start by how they interact. And you mentioned it inside of the organization first. So you want to be like a tribe. How do you collaborate with everybody, so that this collaboration, this aspiration of the goal, like the high V, contributes to, spills over to the customer. Because indeed, one department cannot make it.
No.
The only accountability is in that specific department, the accountability of making the customers happy, then nobody will care. That's a sad reality.
Totally. And I think it comes back from, when you're looking at the employee, how do you actually create that employee loyalty within your organization? How do you really kind of create this? And it comes, I've got a model, and it just from the sourcing part of it, from the advert you're putting in the paper, or in the paper, that doesn't happen no more. Come on, Claire. On your website, on social media, the words that you use, how do you recruit? What are the questions you're asking within the recruitment? Does that align it with your values? And all those things, from the minute you start recruiting to somebody to, the last time, the way they leave, the offboarding, every step of the way have to have this in the middle, and have to really kind of creating every questions you ask, every time you're profiling somebody or you're onboarding somebody, those are the things that you have to have within your HR pack, your HR toolkit, for sure.
Now, if we move forward with this idea that every single employee is responsible or accountable for customer experience, what would you say are the things, the bucket list of customer experience, the things that must be done by the organization as a whole? What are the most important things? Because I guess that it could be large like hell, but what are the most important things that should be part of the task list of a customer experience organization?
So, you know where I am standing at this moment in time, in terms of there's a real gap missing. We're missing a point at the moment in terms of the environment of where we are, and how we are. The environment where we live will help us, will support us, or hinder us. And so I think one of the key points that we need to look for at the moment, to start with, is creating a harmonious environment for our people and our customers. If you're able to create that harmonious environment, your employees are going to feel good, they're going to be creative, more productive. If you've got a really lovely experience and it smells nice and it feels good, well, your customers are going to come back, they're going to, buy from you again, they're going to refer you. So, for me, there's three parts of it. There's the environment and creating a harmonious environment. Then there's really kind of this, how do you really create that employees loyalty? So all those steps that follow this, like I just said earlier, there's 7 steps that you need to follow, and those steps I really need to follow, and in the middle drive your values and your vision, your mission. And then of course you've got your customers, and then your customers, again, there's steps that you need to follow, whether it's the journey mapping, the emotional connection with it. How do you acquire customers? How do you personalize things? How do you retain your customers? How do you listen to your customers? How do you brand yourself? What is the promise that you're giving your customers? So those are the 3 areas that you really, 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 really need to have a thriving business, is have a fabulous, harmonious environment, create loyalty and advocacy with your customers, and really beautiful, caring, loyalty culture with your employees. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Claire, you have spent already quite a long time supporting major organizations in terms of the customer experience. And I'm pretty sure that you have observed the best of the best and the worst of the worst. Right?
There has been a few.
I want some gossip without names. I just want to understand, what have you observed in top organizations that are really good at customer experience, and in the worst? And I think the fact that you're French and you know how the French are with customer experience, especially in Paris. So you can tell me a little bit more. That killed your reputation.
I'm not sure if the French are, they're quite driven in it, but I know sometimes they could be a little bit moody, if I could say so myself. I wouldn't put the French in the top, the very
No,
anyway.
no, no.
A
Exactly.
generalization. I think French people have got, a hospitality in their blood and in their body. That's really important, but they can be quite moody sometimes. Anyway, going into experiences or dreadful experiences. My third book, Ivan, is called The Secret Diary of a Mystery Shopper. And I do reveal a few stories, some good, some bad, and some exceptional stories. So if you want to know more of the gossips, go and get my book. Blog. But there's something that I always bring up, and that's a particular airline. I'm not going to mention the name, but you will all recognize, or you can all go on YouTube and Google it. A particular airline which has dragged, I'm saying dragged because it's the word, dragged his customer out of his plane. And is, the actual footage is scary. I mean, never, ever drag your customers out of your business, right? Please never do that, because within seconds, it will be all over. Your share will go down. Your brand, your trust, everything will go down. It's bad enough when you give bad customer service when serving a steak or something, but dragging your customers out of your organization is a no, a big no. And that's quite a bad, damaging brand damage that you can get, really. Yes. Regarding the good ones, well, you've talked about Zappos. Those kind of organizations have done amazingly well because they just want to generally help people, and I think that's really cool. There's other organizations which are online. Perhaps I shouldn't mention any names, but they're again very focused on getting it right, using the technology to get it right. It's not easy because technology moves so fast, and on the same time we're trying and erroring. So I think the technology has to also be customer centric. And because sometimes it's not, and you can get very quickly frustrated with technology. So it's really getting a balance now between getting the technology right to help our customers do things by themselves so it can be quicker. But as soon as it can't, that you can speak to somebody human. And that's kind of where you can really get it right in terms of that wow experience where, you don't get into the kind of damaging and frustration of your customers and start complaining and start going on social media and start, like a little bit like I was feeling before I started speaking to you, Ivan.
Yes, you mentioned.
I will not mention any names, but I will certainly be connecting with the head office very soon to see if I can give them any help and support.
I will put the link of this company below.
No, please don't. This is just between you and me. But there's something that organization needs to do, and really to kind of get it right. You really have 4 steps to do. You diagnose your gaps, understand where you are. Then you're really developing some really cool strategies. Really, really start developing your strategy. And of course, you take action. So you start implementing and training your staff on it. And of course, the last one is measuring your result, measuring how is it going, what we've put in place. And if you do those steps every time you do start something new, you can't go wrong with it because you're doing it the right way, one step at a time.
I really love the point that you made about technology. So technology to replace the human interaction is not doesn't give a positive result. technology built around that complements, in fact, that empowers the human, that is something that is quite amazing. But you cannot have these chatbots where they don't understand the questions, where or in the telephone there is a robot telling you my name is Eva or whatever, and you get so frustrated, really. And there is no way to get to a person unless you really are lucky after 10 minutes. But that doesn't happen very often.
No, and the customer's frustrated, and then the problem is that happens is once the customer actually do speak to somebody, it's that poor employees who's going to get the hit of it. So that poor employee is on the phone or face to face having that customer who's been really, really frustrated, and they're going to start ranting and they're going to get annoyed and they start complaining, and that poor employee is left here totally feeling he can't do anything about this because it's not been dealt properly in the first place. So it's not fair on the employees to have bad technology.
Exactly.
Yes, if you see my jigs.
Claire, so you also talk about customer experience in your last book, which is called BizShui, 9 Keys to Feng Shui Your Business for Success. So I'm quite interested because you know me, I'm a very rational person. So the stories with Feng Shui, I understand the analogies with human psychology. I may not understand the things that are a little bit mystic behind, but what are the learnings that you can have about applying the Feng Shui, for me, philosophy to customer experience?
Ivan, do you understand how electricity works?
Yes, I'm an engineer.
All right. Damn, that was the wrong question.
I told you,
Okay.
Claire.
I don't know how electricity works. I still use it every day because, I can see then, I can cook my dinner on it. But I don't get how we're getting electricity, right? But okay, that was the wrong question for the wrong person. But what the only thing that I can say is when you're going somewhere and you feel good, you want to stay there, right? Yeah. When you're in your home and you're feeling good because it's your home, you've made it nice, you've put the colors that you wanted, you've put some nice picture around, you feel so good. That's why most of homes feel good, because it's a safe place to be and you feel at home, right? When you're creating that environment. So we talk about Feng Shui, and it does seem a little bit woo-woo, but in fact, it's all about energy. It's exactly the same as electricity. You may not get it, but if you feel good doing it, why not doing it again? And creating a better energy around you. And that's where that harmonious environment is all about.
That part, I totally get it. It's like, maybe for me, it would be the feeling that why I like this painting versus another painting. Maybe you are going to find it amazing, but I have a preference for something, and I have no ways of explaining why it drove emotions, or I really liked it, or I became obsessed, because I'm a little bit of an obsessive guy. So I became obsessed with parts of the painting. I still remember when I saw the first time Guernica from Picasso, I was like for hours and hours, like looking at every single detail. I'm a nerd. But anyways, I cannot explain it. In that context, I can understand it. It feels natural. It feels good.
Yes. And then you said the word emotion. You connect emotionally.
Yeah.
When you've got good positive energy, you're feeling emotionally connected. It's energy in motion, emotion. And that's what happens when you feel good. You're connecting on that emotional level, that right brain, the feminine energy we talked about earlier. That's what it's all about. And the feminine energy connect directly with your emotion inside. So when you connect emotionally, you're going to feel good. You're going to smell, something oh, and suddenly you're releasing all those happy hormones, right? You know, you're releasing the serotonin, oxytocin, and a bit of dopamine as well because you're excited about it, right? And that's neuroscience even. It's not woo-woo. It's exactly neuroscience. And if it's been studied and science researched everywhere. So, being able to really create something around us so our outer energy support our inner energy, that's magic.
Indeed. You were mentioning something that I'm quite like, is quite important for me, is that people need to understand that, because you mentioned feminine energy. So feminine traits, in fact, is something that is not innate, that men can learn, by the way, can practice, can get inspired from women to practice this, I don't know, being genuine, being emotionally connected with people, have the ability to process emotions and voice and cognition at the same time. This is something that can be practiced by our brains. So it has nothing to do that you're a woman, you have an advantage. No, you can also learn from women, and encourage people to learn, because we need to be able to activate the both sides of the brain that we have, and to get this balance in our lives. Claire, how can people reach you?
Well, I'm a bit of a social media butterfly. So you will find me on LinkedIn, just with my name pretty much, LinkedIn, Instagram. I've got some really cool videos on YouTube as well. So just go and check it out. I've just moved to Dubai. So I've the last 18 weeks now, I've been doing a video a week and sharing a little bit of some tips on Feng Shui, maybe some decluttering stuff. I've been talking about some of the stuff that I've been doing in traveling and all that. So check out my YouTube channel. There's loads of content there about customer experience, about employees, about Feng Shui, about mystery shopping. So there's loads of videos there. And of course, my website, which is just claireboscq.com. And there you'll learn a little bit more about BizShui. And of course, if you want me to come and inspire, empower, and abuse your people, you know where I
am. So I will put all of these links below the description of this episode. I just have to correct you, Claire. I wouldn't say that you are a social butterfly, but you are a social queen bee.
Okay. Definitely.
It was lovely to have you, and I am pretty sure that within the next week we are going to see each other face to face for a coffee.
That sounds like a plan to me.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.